I think we're live.
Nice.
Yes, we are. Let's see. We already got a chat. Daniel's here already. He was half an hour early. Hello, JB's
The
here. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a sacrifice that had to be made.
Yes.
Um, oh, it's scrolled up. Emily's here already. Nice. I'm glad you got to finish it on time. Picture.
With 10 kills.
Hello, Cindy. We already got so many people.
I know it's been a long time.
November
It's all
1st.
my fault. I'm sorry, you guys. It should have happened like at the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm. But it's okay. You had a good reason.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
You
So,
want to see what?
Mazda,
So
what?
Emily already told us, huh? Or Emily already told us that she liked it.
Mm-hmm. She did. Yeah. Did you, Mazda?
Um, I was gonna think that I wasn't gonna like it because the first three parts of it, because I read it and like the little mini series things.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I wasn't gonna like it because the first three books were just like really really slow, and then it started to pick up and then pick up, and I was like, oh, I couldn't stop. After like the fourth part, that's when I started like really enjoying it. You can tell my Goodreads because I rated them individually. You can tell
Oh,
like I
okay.
wasn't enjoying it at first, and then all of a sudden it was like a big old spike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. The first like couple of parts were a little slow. Oh, you finished it just today. Nice. Right on time.
Pretty fresh in your mind then. Yeah.
So, we decided to discuss it part by part, right, Mazda?
Yeah. So the first part is the two dead girls. So this one was actually pretty good. When we get
Mm-hmm.
introduced to the whole concept of what's going on, at first I was kind of like, where is this going? But then it started to pick up a lot, just because it starts out with Paul saying that he works at the Green Mile and stuff, and it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy to think that the electric chair was like something that was actually done back in the days, because I think this is like in 1930, correct? 1930
Mm-hmm.
around there. That's crazy for people to actually get electrified. Like that's something
I
pretty
think it's
touchy, I
even
believe.
more. Yeah, I think it's not that old, the electric chair. I think it's pretty recent that it was used. It's not anymore, I think. But
Yeah,
like
I think
like
some
even in
states, yeah.
yeah, like in TV series like Prison Break, they use it. Like it's still a thing. So I don't know. Maybe it's still in some states even used. I don't know.
But I feel like it's just a very controversial topic, just because it's something like the death penalty is something that's very discussed here in the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Like people are for it, and Emily's making fun of me. And some people are for it, and some people are against it. So I don't know. It's so at first I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Where's he gonna take this?" The wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Death penalty by wheelchair. Just like put
Like you
someone on
gotta
the stairs.
stay, you gotta sit there for doing all the bad
Just
stuff you
put someone
did.
in a wheelchair and then push it down the stairs or something.
Oh, that's the way that we're gonna do it now. It's like just pushing them.
Joe Biden, if you're watching, send us any ideas.
So what did you think, Hugo?
About the first part, I did really like the first part, and we got like introduced to characters. I did think there were a lot of characters all at once.
Oh yeah.
Like I did have trouble like keeping up, like and keep everyone apart. But I did like the narration style that Paul was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like later we find out like how he is doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and but yeah, it was interesting. And then like the thing happens with the two girls, and then like it's coffee, and obviously like immediately you think like, okay, so
It's
it's
him.
about coffee. So is it him or what's it gonna be? And then for a long time I was really thinking like it's Stephen King's point in this book or in this series like to feel compassion with this
Mm-hmm.
murderer slash rapist and then make you kind of feel messed up. So I was constantly thinking like, I really hope he didn't do it.
Yeah. At first, I was thinking that he had done it, but I was thinking maybe that he loses like he had like schizophrenia and like he loses his mind for a little bit, and that's how he did it.
Mhm.
Because those words, we're gonna talk about it later. But when he was like, I couldn't help it. I couldn't take it back.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
words that are so like I don't know, like you find yourself in that situation when you're holding the two dead girls, and like you say that, it's like, oh god, he did it. But Stephen
Hmm.
King did it so good where he entwines it later on in the story, and I was like, masterful.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Death by wheelchair is my favorite, personal favorite method. So I agree.
Oh man.
Death by chocolate, and then Death by wheelchair is just second favorite. That makes sense.
Oh man, I'm never gonna hear the end of that. Why did I think
Yeah,
wheelchair?
exactly.
What was I thinking about a wheelchair for?
Was
But
there even a wheelchair in this? Yeah, I think there was with the wife.
but did you think that the whole thing was kind of like it's classic Stephen King just because it was gruesome the way that he describes it, and it's always kids. Have you noticed that? It's always kids. So it makes people like I don't know. It makes them more pissed. Like it pisses them more off just because it's kids that he's doing this to, or the bad person is doing it to. It's not like a grown
Mhm.
person. Like it'd still be horrible, but when it's a kid, it's just like, what the hell are you doing? Because my wife and I
Yeah.
just finished watching a movie about it, about this guy that does it with all these like rapes a little bunch of little girls, and it's like, how do people like? How does that fit in their head?
Exactly. Because like kids are like these innocent beings
Hmm.
that like are not like they can't be evil because they don't even know what evil is basically. So they're these
Yes.
innocent beings, and like if someone does wrong to them, like immediately it's like someone does wrong to a dog, like it's immediately like a defense
Hmm.
mechanism to like to everyone, like whoa, like that's too far no matter what you're doing. Like basically if someone steals a lollipop off of a grown man, you would say like, well, it's no big deal. But if someone steals a lollipop from a kid, it's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
so it's
know.
like,
He always does it, but I feel like it's I don't know if it's to prove a point to make it seem more gruesome or if it's
mhm,
just something that because I don't know. I feel like what did you think? Do you think this is more towards I feel like it's supernatural to an aspect, but there's a little bit of horror in here, but it's not completely horror just
mhm,
because it's something realistic. But it does touch on the
yeah,
supernatural, and we'll touch more on
mhm,
that later.
yeah. I didn't even know from like when I started reading it that it was gonna be like a supernatural thing.
Yeah, me either. I thought it
Uh,
was just gonna be all
'Cause-
realistic.
yeah, exactly. I thought like this was gonna be a rare, realistic story.
Oh,
Let
David's
me.
here.
There's a lot of chat. I thought same thing here. I didn't want to like John at the start because of the crime that the book tells you that he committed. Yeah, exactly. Like I
Mhm.
was really trying not to like John
It
Coffey.
was
I
hard.
was like, no, he's an asshole and he does horrible things. So I was like, I really didn't want to like him, and I was trying to like refuse to. So oh, David, hello, welcome.
Hey, David.
God damn it, it keeps jumping. Sorry, didn't love him, but Steven made me want to care for him, like him being scared of the dark and him crying with the girls in his arms. Exactly. Yeah, Maza has technical issues and he might jump out every now and then. He's gonna be back in a minute. I think that's exactly it. Kids are innocent, and in a way, Coffee himself acted as a kid, acted like a kid as well. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, Maza is back. I want to discuss that with him. Welcome back.
Thank you. Quick potty break.
Emily has an interesting point. I think that's exactly it. Kids are innocent, and in a way, Coffee himself acted like a kid as well.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
With what the e-reader said about the whole, are you gonna leave the lights on at night?
Hmm.
When he said that, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, the dark is scary, but I think I told my wife this. Dark is scary for people that have like demons and stuff. But
Hmm.
like when I think of someone that's scared of the dark, I think of someone more innocent, like a kid. That's
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm scared of the dark because they don't know what's out there. Like this grown man, like he's like what, almost like 7 feet tall, and he's scared of the
Yeah.
dark. People are like, what's gonna hurt you in the dark?
Hmm.
So
It's
yes,
either a kid or like someone who like can't really defend themselves or something, like
yeah.
afraid of the unknown. Other writers still using children can go wrong so easily,
Mhm.
but King is exemplary as working the stories right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read Pet Cemetery, but I hear like people who are like dealing with grief and everything relate to that a lot, and I think it has to do with kids as well.
Mhm.
But I don't know, and I don't want to know. I didn't realize, I didn't realize that either. I seriously thought it was gonna be just plain realism. Yeah, about the supernatural part.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only person I truly hated in this book was Percy. It's not the
Why?
only one. It's not the
Team
only
Percy
one.
all the way. That's my boy. I'm just kidding. I'm completely kidding.
Percy for president.
Justice
Justice
for
for
Jingle.
Jingles. He got justice though.
Oh no.
Percy, hero. I don't think I said hero already. Percy's the worst. Everyone's probably agreeing with that. Yeah, there was a traumatizing Coffee wasn't like a child. He wasn't like a child. He was a child, and he and the things
Mm.
he went and the things he went through, it broke my heart. Yeah, exactly. Coffee reminds me of
Yes.
Lenny from Of My Seven. I haven't read my Of My Seven.
Have you seen the movie though?
No.
It did remind me like a lot of the parts. It reminded me of Mice and Men, especially when later on. I don't know. We're gonna touch about it later, but I should just mention it now. I think he said no. We'll touch about it later, and then I'll remember Emily
Okay.
saying Mice and Men. If you
Okay.
want, we can move on to
The second
part
part.
two, which was the Mouse on the Mile.
So this was
This is where we
probably for
get.
me the slowest part, and it was
Yes, I
like
agree.
because I like got through part one in one day, and
Hmm.
then it took me 2.5 weeks to get through the second part. Also because I was then moving and everything, so that's a part of it, obviously. But um, yeah, it just took so long, and it was just rough to get through.
Yeah, especially because this is where the part where they're like introducing like the small stuff and they're introducing the mouse. Like, I get the mouse in the story, and I really
Mhm.
enjoyed the mouse, but I think Stephen King kind of like bloated this one. Like, I felt a little bit
Yeah.
bloated this part just because it's like, okay, we don't need that much of the mouse. But it did introduce like the inmates coming in. We saw a few of them, I think, in this one. Yeah, I think we saw a few of the inmates come in, and for example, Edward de la Croix was the French, and I really like how I had to look up some of the French words that he would use, but he would actually use um French phrases, and I thought that gives the
Hmm.
whole story a little more vivid, like I don't know, aspect to it, just because I actually would ask Google, hey, what does this mean in French? And I was like, oh, like there's some bad words in here, and I was like, of course, I'm gonna learn the bad words from Stephen King in French.
Fortunately, I didn't have to look them up because I knew
I
that
know,
one.
I was thinking that I
So
was gonna ask
I
you right
felt
now.
like this. I felt so smart. I was thinking about it. Everybody's probably looking those up, and I don't have to. Dead Man Walking isn't a bad statement considering what the people did, but he's like one of those annoying kids who think they are cool but aren't.
Mm,
Percy, right?
yes,
I read Find Some Men, been meaning to. Yeah, same.
it's really tiny. It's like
Virgin.
it's really tiny. I don't know where I have it, but it's oh, I have it right here. It's a really tiny book. It should take you like maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
Well, depending on how fast you read, but it shouldn't take you that long. It's a very tiny book.
Mm-hmm. How many pages is that?
It is 98.
Okay, that's probably
Yeah,
like an hour and a half for me though. Not that
yeah.
long.
It's but it flows really fast just because the at least for my book, the paragraphs, I mean, the sentences are like pretty separated.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I might just give that a read then, like in one of the next days.
That'd be interesting for to hear your thoughts on it because you'd be reading the Green Mile and then this one, which has two big
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Mm-hmm. Delacroix was speaking my language. Are you from France then?
Languages.
Yeah, I speak multiple. um, but yeah, I
But
think the second part was really slow, and I don't think Mr. Jingles had to have. I get like he wanted us to care for Mr. Jingles, and like it is important, but like to give it an entire part, I don't think that was really necessary.
I don't know if you saw on Discord, or if anyone saw that I said that for a minute I thought that maybe Mr. Jingles could have been is a person because he's very smart. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
like you know how electricity works and stuff, like Frankenstein kind of. Like the
Yeah.
mouse was in there by the electrical chair, and then when one of the persons got fried, the person's mind somehow ended up going into the mouse. For some reason, I kept thinking he was gonna take it that route, but he didn't. But I don't know, because I just thought the mouse is way too smart for his own good.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you think so too?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Um, but I think if that was the case, like maybe Coffee would have touched on that and like would have pointed
Oh,
out,
yeah.
because he even like feels that like he felt the scream still and like around the chair and everything,
I know.
which
It's
I thought was
freaking
like
creepy.
so creepy. Um, wait. Okay, so I will read of Mice and Men then. Sorry, we don't have to read American classics in Belgium or Europe.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh
Canada.
yeah, Canada. Yeah.
Around Quebec then. Does anyone think that the rat in the story, a rat, was King's way of shouting out his previous works involving rats, or am I thinking too much into it? Wasn't it a mouse?
Yeah.
JB, it's a mouse. It's not a rat. Poor Mr. Jingle.
Oh man.
Peter
What?
Pettigrew. Who's that?
Sounds familiar. Getting a brain fart. Emily's saying no, so let's agree with Emily. Let's agree with Emily. Which you just brought up a good point where you said that coffee heard and I love how he says my name is Coffee, but spelled different than the drink. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it gives us a good point because we can move on to Coffee's hands because
Mm-hmm.
that's when we start to see the supernatural aspects to it. Like there's more to coffee than we think.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly.
think it was kind of you're reading the standard? You haven't gone into it that much.
I think 200. It's right here. Where am I? I'm at page 162.
There
So
is
not
a
really.
very explicit scene in the stand,
Mm-hmm.
and that involves two men. So when Coffee was trying to help out Paul, I was thinking that knowing Stephen King, I was like, bro, this guy's gonna try to take it somewhere else. I didn't know where he was gonna go with it, just because it's in the crouch area, and I was like, bro, when he grabbed him to try to heal him, I was just like, where is
Right.
he gonna go with this?
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
worried about it too, because like I
yeah,
was like, he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing to the girls, and now it's gonna happen again, but with Paul. And I was like, no,
yeah,
Paul, my
yeah.
man, like get out of here.
Get out of there. And I think
And
Edward.
like I also thought like just like he was kind of hypnotized, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Paul, like he couldn't really control himself. So like then I was thinking like maybe the girls, because they didn't hear any screams. So then I was like, oh, maybe the girls let it happen, like he was hypnotizing or
yeah.
controlling them in a way. So I was like, oh God, Paul, no, get out of there. I was really worried for him for a second. Let me go to chat real quick. Rat mouse creepy telltale. Oh, come on, man. Mice are so cute though. From far away though.
Oh, that's a
Which name
good
do you
point.
guys like more, Steamboat Willie or Mr. Jingles? Also, question: do you think Jingles was actually talking to Dell, and Dell understood, or do you think Dell was making that up? Hmm.
I like
I
Steamboat
do
Willie
like,
more.
yeah, I like Steamboat Willie a lot more as well than Mr. Jingles. And I do think maybe the now I'm saying rat. The mouse was in a way talking to Delacroix, right? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Um, I don't. I think I've sometimes I felt like they were communicating, but at other points I felt very like staged. Like because sometimes Paul would be like, "I know that you didn't teach him these things because the guy that was there before actually taught him some of the stuff." So he was calling bull on some of that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like Steamboat Willie more, and I think at the end of the book, Stephen King actually mentions that he was not 100% sure that that's what they called Mickey Mouse back then. But I don't know. I like the whole connection of Steamboat Willie because I can just picture the Mickey Mouse from back in the day driving the little boat and like moving
Mm-hmm.
his hips and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny
Mm-hmm.
because Mr. Jingles, I don't really understand why the jingles like.
Yeah, from where like he wasn't wearing any bells or anything, right?
Yeah, I don't
They made
understand why the
noise. I don't
jingles.
think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
unless Chat can help us out, but I really don't remember why it was jingles. I just remember that's what they chose.
Probably.
Well, that's
Probably.
all JV right there. JV's the one over here calling him a rat.
Coffee seems like King's take on the saying, "The Lord gift and the Lord." take away. Yeah, basically,
Mm-hmm.
he can give and take life. The rat mascot. You're gonna just gonna keep calling it a rat. Just kidding. For a mouse, it was pretty plenty cute. I literally woke up in a cold sweat from an app realizing why they called the mouse Timo Twilly. Yeah, she Emily texted me about it like she already finished it, I think. And then
Yeah.
just like I think 2 days later she texted me, that's why they're calling him Timo Twilly. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I can't. Oh my
Forgot it
god.
wasn't red. Fair enough. His name is Mr. Jingo because that's what he told Delacroix his name is. Right.
Oh.
And we're gonna just believe this murderer on his word.
Yeah, like the murderer is always right. Yeah, just go with him.
I think it was called Mr. Jingle because the mouse whispered his names to Del. That's why I say, do you think Del had mouse speaking part? Oh, good point. Yeah, I forgot the mouse whispered it. Yeah. Because Delacroix was like, oh yeah, he told me his name is Mr. Jingles. It's not Steamboat Willie. That's true.
Yeah, because I think he had Steamboat Willie before, and then Dell got there, and then I guess he somehow figured out it was Mr. Jingles, correct?
Yeah, and Paul
Um,
kept calling him Mr. Jingles as well, right?
yeah, and you know what? I actually like how Stephen King incorporated how they would bring in the prisoners. It wasn't just like oh, the nowhere they appeared there. Like
Mm-hmm.
each person that came in had their own scene. Because I think after this, yeah, I think it was in Coffee's hands when we get introduced to Billy the Kid,
Mm-hmm.
and we see that Percy's a big wuss because he could have actually done something to beat up like an actual person that was being bad instead of someone that wasn't. So
Mm-hmm.
we see that Percy's just like this big wuss, even though he's really short. Like I don't know, I've always heard that in books and in life, like for some reason they always say that short people try to be tougher just because they have to be, just because they're shorter. So I just kept
Mm-hmm.
picturing like this very short guy that always messed with his hair and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What did you think about the whole scenes about them walking in and stuff?
Yeah, I think Percy is just a very hateful person, first of
Mm-hmm.
all. And like he hates everything that's different from himself because he hates himself already as much or something like that. And he kept like bringing up like I have powerful friends and like this and that, and he just sounded so insecure. So I think like he just was reflecting all the time.
Like that part was very annoying for him because they mention it a lot of times. Like him, oh
Hmm.
my uncle's a what was it, the governor or something?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Like bro, like oh man, it's like you guys are gonna be working the bread line and I don't know what. I was like, bro, stop. That's being really annoying. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I can't think of anything else that happened in Coffee's hands. Like besides him healing them. Well, yeah, we
Hmm.
haven't talked about that he healed them. That
Oh right, yeah.
um, you're right. Because at first Paul thought, "Am I hypnotized and I just think that I'm healed?" But then he finds out that he's actually healed. But
Right.
what did you think about the him spitting out the beetles? Was it like beetles or some insects that came out of his mouth?
Yeah, or butterflies or moths or what was it?
Some sort of black
Something
thing, yeah, and then yeah.
something black and then it turned white and then it disappeared. Um, I get like he wanted to visualize the fact that something bad is out and it turns good and then it's like away. So it's more to visualize it, I think. I don't think it was necessary, but I think it helps to like make the point that like it's out of the body right now. And also that
He
it can pass it through others instead of like
yeah,
just disappear.
because Stephen King, I don't know if it was just me or Stephen King made it seem like diseases and stuff like that were demons. Like, it's not just like, oh, you have a disease or something. Like, he made it seem like they were kind of like evil spirits or demons, kind of. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Right. Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Because you kind of do act different when you're sick. Like, I know for
Hmm.
a fact that when I'm sick, I'm a lot more cranky. So, like, I wonder if that's what
Yeah.
he was getting at. Like, when you're sick, you're a whole, not a whole different person, but you do act a lot of different. So that's what maybe they think that you're kind of like have something
Right.
inside of you.
That's a good point. And that's also a thing a lot of people used to believe.
Oh yeah, huh? Like
Hmm.
back because it was those. I think it was during the plague and stuff. Like they would be those guys that would wear the big
Yeah.
old nose, huh?
Hmm. Exactly. Oh, we had that. Seriously though, with the supernatural element, it isn't too much of a stretch to think Mr. Jingles was a person, maybe a prisoner from way back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, power is corruptible, especially when you're an ass already. Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. Funny how I felt a bit of sadness when I thought Mr. Jingles was dead, but I feel no mercy putting mousetraps on. Oh, poor Mr. Jingles. Um, yeah, I don't think I have something else about part three. Do you?
No, I don't think so. Because was it here when was it? I think it was in Coffee's hands when the mouse also gets stepped on, huh? Because
Um,
it was before, yeah, it was before the death, the bad death of Edward de la Croix. Is because I think in the bad death, it's when we
mhm,
actually see all that stuff happen. So I think yeah,
mhm,
Mr. Jingles got stepped on that scene, and I actually thought, oh no, he's actually gonna kill him. But then I forgot about Coffee. But I
mhm.
found it interesting, and this is I think that's the part when I start to realize that Coffee was trying to do something else when he was like, "Give me the mouse before it's too late," and then my mind
Right.
started to be like, "Okay, what the heck? Where have I heard that?" And
Hmm.
it's crazy how there's a time limit to it. It's not just like, oh, I can heal whoever. Like there's a time limit to his power.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, a time limit. I think it can bring people back from the dead. So, like,
But I
Mr.
think,
Jingles is still alive.
was he though? I think he was, because I think they said something about him being completely like not breathing anymore. Like his breathing had stopped. But I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. But maybe his heart was still beating, so the rest maybe still.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I could be wrong. Someone is knocking at my door. Sorry.
No, you're
Uh,
okay. Chat. What do you guys think? Because I actually think that he was completely dead, and then he just brought him back to life. This is like the scene where I actually started to think that Coffee was doing a lot more. And Stephen King loves to freaking use. I don't know if it's telekinesis, but he always has to have like that character. He loves to have characters that can see beyond like I don't know, kind of can see other stuff that other people can't. Like in The Shining, he does it. Doctor Sleep, he does it. Firestarter has something like that. He really likes putting people with superpowers in the stories. Let's see. Here we go. I'm cranky on the regular, so I agree when you're sick, it's amplified. Oh yeah, I think you're sick right now too, though, right? Right when you feel a little bit more cranky than usual. Oh no, I sound like a robot. I think it's because Hugo doesn't have his mic turned on, and for some reason my mic starts to act up if the other person doesn't have it on. Is this still robotish or no? Can't hear you. Hmm. How about now? No, no. Why do I sound like a robot? Mm. Oh, he was that gay.
I am so sorry.
Apparently, when you're muted, I sound like a robot.
Oh, interesting.
So I was trying to
Sorry.
talk, and then everybody was like, "No." Yeah, I was trying to talk, and it was like,
So
"Just shut
sorry
up! You
then.
sound like a robot." No, you're fine.
Oh god. Apparently 2 a.m. is a really good time to talk about work. What the fuck? That's like the
Just came to
biggest
ask you about
downside
work.
of like living at your job. Like they can just like knock
Oh,
out of
yeah.
your door and like, hey, can I talk to you about it? Did I miss anything?
2 in the morning. Um, Emily
Going
was wondering
great.
if you're okay, and then everybody was telling me to do a front flip, a back flip, card trick, and then we agreed on the bookshelf tour, and I was on that, and then you got here, which is awesome.
Oh,
Rather be
sorry
doing
guys. Do
this,
you
yeah.
want me to leave again?
No. I think we were on the part where we were
Yeah,
saying
no.
about coffee being able to heal, and then I was telling them that Stephen King really likes to use characters that have some sort of like supernatural power. Like for example, Firestarter, The Shining, The Institute. Like he really likes telekinesis or something. Coffee came to his door.
Yeah, sorry, it made me laugh. He does like supernatural, like even if it's like minor things, and like most of the story is realism, or like could be like in
Mhm.
real life. There's always like a tiny thing that's like, oh no, there's this other thing.
I think he
Um,
just
so I think,
um
yeah, go ahead.
no go. I didn't even know what I was gonna say. I just wanted to talk. I think.
um, okay, well that's the mood though. I think like he mostly used this as like the insects, partly because like to visualize the thing like you said as a demon, but I think part of it was so like coffee takes it out and then he spits it out into oblivion, but he can also
Yeah,
like give it to others, like he did then in part like six, thinking, or five maybe, which we can maybe
yeah.
talk about later.
Um, but I really like because it doesn't feel like that. Like it's those super. He likes to use superpowers that are kind of creepy in some sense because like I wouldn't want
Yeah.
someone else in my head.
Hmm.
And maybe I won't. We won't touch more on the powers just because there's a lot of spoilers into it. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, like that he likes to
Right.
put out superpowers. Look at Emily's comment.
Talking shit.
I would not want
But
a grown 7 foot man at my door that looks like he. What did how did Stephen King describe it? Because he has muscles. Oh, he had a barrel chest. He had a barrel
mhm.
for a chest. He had the arms of someone who plows all day. No, I'm good. I'm good.
I would
So
just like
now
step back into my room and turn off all the lights. I'm like, yeah, follow
we
me,
will talk
bitch.
about what is that in the bag? Is that a plane?
Um,
What is
no, it's
that?
a chair. It's a shadow of the chair, the electric chair.
Oh, that's right. Let me see. Oh yeah, you're right. So
I
now we're
think
gonna talk about the bad death, and it was a bad death of Eduardo
it
Lacrosse.
was a bad one. Okay, so my first question is, did you feel bad for him?
Oh heck yes, 100%.
Yeah,
Even
same.
though I think the thing is that like I feel like I don't want to say too much because then I know a lot of people are like against it or for the um hold on my things for the um death penalty. But
Mhm,
hold on my things about it. Dying. What I do think is that I do believe that some people sometimes they honestly I don't know how else to say like they really fuck up big time
mhm,
and they have a chance to like you know I don't know if the people can forgive them, but they do have a chance of saying like, "Oh, okay, I messed up, and I know what I did was bad."
okay.
But who are we? Are we really someone? Are we as? Because it says that you've been judged by your peers. Are we really like those type of people that can literally say, "Okay, you deserve death because you did death"? Like, does that make us better? But then again, like it just goes into a big old Pandora box that
Mhm,
this book can open up. So it's just like I did feel bad for him just because his death should have been like that, like how like just done with. And then
mhm,
Percy took it into another different like
mhm.
it was completely different than anything I'm pretty sure they've ever seen.
Right. But then there's the thing, like his death should have been like that, but his victims also suffered. Like he
Oh, I
raped,
get
he
you.
murdered, and he burned his victims as well.
Yeah, you're right.
So like I
I,
think Paul said it like it's kind of poetic, like he burned his victims, and
so
now
he got
he
burned.
came to his death like the same thing. Well, Percy didn't even know that was gonna happen. He just thought it was gonna hurt a bit more.
Because I think it was in this part where they do the prayers, and for some reason when there's prayers in a story, hopefully David brings it up. There's a part in Spider-Man where he uses prayer too, but for some reason when they use prayer, it hits home more just because when he was praying it, like I could just imagine this big old thunderstorm and like it was like he Stephen King set up the perfect scene for it to be like very very like a disastrous like scene because I don't know when I think of a thunderstorm I think something bad's gonna happen. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like thunderstorms and Stephen King even has a book about thunder which is revival, but for other people just cannot see and cannot be in thunderstorms. Like for example, have you seen the movie Ted about the teddy bear and the
Yeah.
where they get scared with the thunder?
Thunder.
It's like they have their
Yeah,
helmet
yeah.
and fuck you thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're right. It does make you think like he messed up all these people and he burned them. Like he had this whole he did all everything cold mindedly. Like he planned everything out. It wasn't like oh I'm mad at you and I'm gonna kill you. It was like I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
plan this out. I'm gonna do this and then that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The thing about thunderstorms, actually, it's one of the primal fears of
Hmm.
like mankind because it's something like like cavemen were afraid of. Like it was really dangerous. So like, and that's a thing that's still in our brains. I read that somewhere, which I thought was interesting. Um, but yeah, I thought like part of me obviously felt bad because it's such a horrible death. But then part of me was like, well, his victims, like he didn't have mercy
Hmm.
for his victims either. So it's like karma in a way. Like,
Yeah, I could see it.
yeah, like an eye for an eye almost, or like you get, like you harvest what you plant is a saying in
Hmm.
Dutch. I don't know if it's a thing in English, but
Yeah, I think yeah, you said it perfectly. Like yeah.
um, I felt bad because of how quick the electric chair is promised to be. Not only was Dell electrocuted, he was burned alive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And see, I get that. But then I think about what he has done, and I'm like, I just can't feel really bad for him. Even though it was wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
I gotta run, folks. Gotta buy Mr. Jingles around chair. Just kidding. Dog walk. I'll hop back on if you're still alive. Okay, bye. Have a nice walk. Keep your dog a little pet for me.
But make sure you don't walk the Green Mile. Make sure you go the other way.
I like the lead up to everything. Paul tells us all the time about something bad that happened, and that's going along with it, with and
Hmm.
slowly working out what's going on. Was yeah, and that's the thing. Like we talked about this before. Like I think King does a lot, right? Like telling us what's gonna happen and then showing us
Us
how it
wanting to
happened.
know why. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
even the title of the part is the bad dev. It's like, okay, so we know it's not a pretty dev. I mean, even though maybe people could have been like, well, dev is bad anyway, so I could see the title. But maybe they didn't expect the whole scene how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, for example, like if I was in Paul's shoes, he wanted to get Percy out of, like, he wanted to get rid of Percy so bad that he
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell Percy, hey, you gotta wet the sponge. Like all he had to do was tell him, hey, wet the sponge. Like that's it. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like something that he had to, like, I don't know, maneuver himself through a whole thing to get to Percy. It was just like, bro, tell him, just wet the sponge.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's a good point. Um, I have a question for everyone. Did you all? It's about the last part, but we can spoil, right, Mata?
Hmm.
Because everyone
Yeah,
read it.
complete, yeah, complete spoilers.
So about the last part, did you guys feel bad for Percy when he got framed for the murder? Like, and did you feel bad for the dude that got shot by Percy, like the one that actually raped the girls?
No,
Did you
I,
did you guys
I,
feel bad for him?
no. Yeah, and I see
No.
what you're saying. It's like I felt bad for this guy, but maybe because the reason why is because Stephen King humanized this guy, like the
Yeah.
the lacrosse guy. He humanized them, and I was like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
can see it. But Billy the Kid was always like, oh, I'm this bad guy. I'm like just gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep doing stuff, and like we never like felt empathy for the guy because we knew he was bad. He knew he was bad.
Exactly.
Um, and I felt like just seeing how he was, I was like, it's fine. I could kill him. It's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it to go down that way. Like two characters in the story that I feel like we were meant not to like went at it, and Stephen King
Yeah.
just took him out in the out of the picture in the same shot, and I was like, okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like we didn't care. Like most people wouldn't care that. Like, what was his? Yeah, Billy the Kid or Wharton, right?
Yeah.
Um, that he died because it was like, yeah, because you like raped those girls and you deserve to die, and because we like discussed it in the book what he did. About the other guy, Delacroix, we just like briefly heard like, yeah, he
What
burned
he
like he
did.
burned his victims. Yeah. So like you feel more bad because like you said, Stephen King humanizes him. But I
Hmm.
just like thought back like he's there for a reason, and like we know why, but it's not really discussed a lot. Oh, JB is still here.
He's like, I lied.
I didn't think of his murders. I agree, it's a bit of karma. Yeah, that's what I mean. And like especially like how we wouldn't care about the other guys. Yeah, you don't want that wheelchair. Not one bit. Wharton was described as a bad guy. John was told as a teddy bear. Yeah, I'm not talking about John Coffey. I felt bad for John Coffey, obviously.
Just
I was talking about
Dell and Warden.
Delacroix. Yeah, Delacroix.
Yeah.
A good bad guy is one you have empathy for.
I see what he's trying to get at.
Um, yeah, but Delacroix wasn't really the bad guy of this story. He was just a horrible human being. But he wasn't the bad guy of this story, I think. No, I hate Bill Wharton. He was truly evil. I think with Del, part of me thinks that he had some mental issues going on. The mouse talking to
Mm,
him, the way he spoke, etc. I think part of the way he spoke was just because his English wasn't amazing.
true.
So it's hard for me to not feel at least a little for him because I'm like, is there more to Del than we know? But again, like if you think he also raped kids and he burned his victims. Like just
But
imagine if that's like a kid you know or like it's family of you. Like can you like do you would you care that there's like more to tell?
oh, I
You
get
know what
what
I
you're
mean?
saying. Yeah, because I think what happened was that he raped the person. He took him back
Hmm.
to the family, set it on fire, and then set the whole family on fire. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
what you're trying to say. But see,
Like
that's like,
imagine if that's your family. Like would you be like, oh maybe there's more to him, or maybe he has mental issues, or maybe this, or maybe that.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I guess that's where the power of writing comes in, and that's how. well we know that Stephen King portrayed the character, just because we cared for him, even though knowing in our head, like you never forgot it, but I, as the reader going into the story, I forgot what
Mm-hmm.
Dell did just because of all the stuff that we were like reading about him and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And you never forgot it, but I actually did forget it, and that's like the power of the reading. Like we each have our own opinions, and that's amazing. How I can
Mm-hmm.
see it one way, and you can see it another way, and it's like,
Right.
but in the end,
Exactly.
it really was horrible what he did, and his death was also horrible. So you can't really, there's like a balance, and it
Yeah.
just you can't really tilt this way because it doesn't like even up. Like you have to take like,
Mm-hmm.
or you just have to take a complete side and be like how you're saying, like it was bad and his death was bad too, but he deserved it. Or
Oh,
say, oh, I kind of felt bad for the guy. There's no like black or like, I feel like there's no in between here. It's just black and white. It's just either or.
yeah. I think so too. Yeah. That's a very good point. I
Oh no,
always
me
relate to
too.
the bad guys. Hope that doesn't say something about me. That speaks of intelligence and knowing bad guy. 100% with you. Also, I was not trying to say what he did was okay by any means, just why I felt a bit more for. No, yeah, I totally get that. I also felt more for like I want to make that clear. I felt more for Delacroix than for Wharton, obviously,
Yeah.
and like his death was also a lot worse than Wharton's because he just got a bullet and that was it, like a
No, he
couple
got more,
bullets.
he got a couple bullets, but
Yeah,
you
like
see,
six, I think.
even then, if you start to think about the type of death,
Mm-hmm.
Warren's was kind of like done pretty quick because he got shot so
Exactly.
many times that he was just done. Like, and he was sleeping. The guy never even saw it coming. This
Yeah,
guy Dell,
he
he
died in his
suffered it
sleep.
because
Yeah.
he knew what was gonna happen. Like, I could just imagine what goes. I don't even think I shouldn't even say that. I can't even imagine what goes through your
No,
head
yeah, me
knowing
too.
that your life is about to come to an end. That's freaking crazy. But
Mm-hmm.
Raul brings up a good point because I don't know where I saw this or who. I think my wife's the one that told me. It's like no one's born evil. Like no one's born evil. Like
Mm-hmm.
there comes a point in someone's life where they decide I can keep being a normal person and like keep doing myself, or they
Mm-hmm.
just turn into a complete asshole and a bad person. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
that one coming point in their life where they're just like, okay, this isn't working for me. Like I'm just gonna be an asshole now because
Yeah.
life's a bitch to me too. So kind of like the Joker. I don't know. I always bring this back to the Joker, but I feel like that's the one that's more popularized. But I feel like there's a lot of villains out there that have their backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Like Two Face,
All it
also
takes is
from
one.
Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all it takes is one bad day, right?
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So so
So yeah,
if we
go ahead.
So if you start to think about it, society makes all these bad people. But
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I were talking about it too, just because there's a priest in our church that's trying to become a no, he's not a priest yet, but he's becoming a priest. But his childhood was ugly, and then he could have chose to also be bad, but he chose a different route.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, for like, because usually when you hear the people like rape and stuff and do all these stuff is because they suffered a lot of trauma in their childhood, like from being raped themselves, being mistreated by their,
Mm-hmm.
usually it's always the dad, and it's always men who like, or boys that see it, so they have to make that choice where they choose to be bad or they choose to be good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I even think it's not always a choice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, because I definitely, because I think of myself as a good person, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, but I like I said in the last stream as well, like I got bullied a lot in high school. So I think, and sometimes like life wasn't fair to me or whatever. And like I also could have been like, hey, like you're all like this to me, I should just treat others like shit as well because like no one is treating me well or something. But like I chose not to, and I chose to be a good person. um and I chose to actually do the opposite and show extra compassion to people like weaker people or like that can't stand
Yeah.
up for themselves or something like that, you know. So justice for me is always like very important, and karma as well. So yeah, I don't know, like I said before, like I'm not saying I felt more for Wharton or I felt wait, what am I saying? I'm not saying like I felt I did think like Delacroix's death was wrong, but I didn't feel bad for him. I would prefer that Wharton had Delacroix dead. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And like
Yeah.
something like that. But like I didn't feel bad at all for Delacroix. Like I was just like, well, like I'm sure the family, if they would be ghosts and seeing that, they would kind of enjoy it or something like that.
It is crazy to think that the witnesses, the family was there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like today we were watching that one movie about the guy that rapes girls. Like I wanted him to die, and I wanted the dad to beat the crap out of him. And it never
Mm-hmm.
happened. I wish it would have, but I wanted like think about it. I don't know if I would be, but maybe because I've never gone. I hope I like. It's just weird, like the situation of you seeing the person that did that to your family like dying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a weird sensation, and I feel like for example, last time we talked about bullying. This time we're talking about death and like all these things. Like I feel like Stephen King books are scary, not because they're horror, but because they talk on realistic aspects. And I feel like a lot of people miss that. Like they think, oh, it's just gonna be about ghosts, vampires, and stuff like that. But no, it's
Yes,
like his
exactly.
books are scary because there's stuff that actually happens, and it's stuff that we
Mm-hmm.
all go through. So for example, I think on Discord a lot of people were like, I'm not picking this book up. It's very like depressing. And towards the end, I kind of started to see why it was, just because of what Coffee talks about. But we'll talk about more of that later. But what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? That's why I feel like there's they're considered horror because of what they talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I think was it Stephen King himself that said like a lot of time in his stories there are monsters like actual
Mhm.
supernatural monsters, but the actual monsters are the people. Like Percy, for example, doing this, or
Yes.
like Wharton doing whatever he did to the girls and things like that. So I think that's the scary part, not Coffee being able to control
Mm.
people or to get like these black bugs and like blow them in someone else, you know? Like
It's
that's not the
the
scary
people
part. The
themselves.
scary part is like the normal people, like Percy, just an all time normal dude, like what was he, 22 or 23 or something? And he was working in the thing and he committed this horrible murder. Like that's the horror of it. Like
Yeah, that's what gets me all the time.
hmm
And I want to make a video of it, but I don't know. I haven't been super productive. Because
hmm
what did you think about when he the night journey? I wasn't like when they took him out. I wasn't very like here. Let's do the chat really quick.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's
Something
okay.
in person twists parents are sometimes to blame, other times mental illness, also
Hmm.
other times just like surroundings and lack of attention or too much attention or things like that. It's a whole like yeah, like I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or any kind of criminologist, but like a lot of things can make a person the way
Yes.
the person is, I think.
One bad day does a lot. Yeah.
It is, yeah. I wasn't ready to dive back into this one. 11:23 though. I'm all in. Good. So let's move to the next part, right?
Yeah.
The night journey.
Yeah. That's
Despite
what
that,
I was
the
gonna
night
get
journey
on.
went
Yeah.
so smoothly. Like pretty much nothing went wrong. Yeah, I kept expecting something was gonna go wrong, and um, it didn't happen, and I wasn't mad about it. I was like, okay, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about it either, but I was like, because knowing Stephen King, I was like, something's gonna go down. Like
Hmm.
maybe like something simple like a pop tire, or something has to happen where like Percy maybe gets out, or something has had to happen,
Hmm.
and something did happen. But so they got back into the actual prison. It wasn't like when they were out there.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
even thought
exactly.
the actual warden wasn't gonna let them in the house. We're like, I'm not gonna let some like, because for him in his head, it was a killer. When we got to this point, and it's crazy, because this is where we find out that Coffee wasn't the killer because Paul starts to explain all the reasoning. Because I think,
Mhm.
part four ends with him explaining to his buddies how he knows that thanks to his shoe, he wasn't the killer. And I was like, to his shoe. And then he
Yeah.
starts to say about the tying of the knot and stuff, and I was like, how did I not notice that?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's the tiny things, and I also kept thinking about the shoe. Like I never found out before he told me. I was like, I kept like I want to find out before he tells me, but I
Yeah,
never did.
like what the heck? What's the shoe? And then the dogs too. Like everything started to make sense. Once he started to tell us how it went down, like the dogs, one dog going this way and the other dog's going this way,
Hmm.
and I told my wife because these dogs were following the actual killer. They totally forgot about the scent of the little girls until they stuffed the freaking smell back in their head, and they were like, okay, well the girls are over here, but the killers are this way.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think I was talking to Daniel that Stephen King did a great job of making us feel like we were in 1930 because we still saw all the racism. We saw how like a person of color could not get a trial, like a retried. Like he couldn't like do all the new evidence. He couldn't get two trials. It was just like the first trial and that's it.
Yes. Yeah. And like as sad as that is, like that was just the case. And I
Hmm.
think it was written very well. Like you just also believe it, like I just went along with it. Like Paul was saying, like, yeah, we're not gonna get a second trial for coffee because he's a big black dude and this and that. And I was like, oh yeah, of course not. As
Hmm.
sad as that was, like for the time being, I just thought it was written very well.
Yeah, because you felt like, and it's hard. I don't know how he did it, but I think he uses the N word quite a bit, and a lot of people don't like him using it. Um,
But it's not
but
Stephen King using the N word,
yeah,
right? It's the
yeah,
characters in that time using it, which
because
is
it's
something people sometimes forget.
yeah, I kind of see it like I don't know if it's the appropriate thing to say, but like it's kind of like art, and for us to completely see the whole picture, he uses it not to make someone like to put someone down, but just to give you the whole picture of the story, which
Yes.
I can definitely um see why people can see that's wrong, and I
Mm-hmm.
won't like say that it's not. But I can also see
Mm-hmm.
why people can say, "Oh no, it's fine," like because it's part of the story and it's part of the art that he's doing in his book. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
either or. It's like if one person can share their opinion, so can the other people. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna silence both of them. It's like whatever you think it's good, then just think that. But
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like there was a video game once about World War II, and
mhm.
the game developers decided to put a different flag than like the Nazi flag, the cross, and they decided not to put the flag in. And a lot of people were like, "Yeah, good. Like we shouldn't be showing this flag anymore, and this and that." But then a lot of other people were like, "Well, it's not because it's historically accurate to use that flag. That's a flag they used. So why would you not put that in, as offensive as it may be, or as triggering? Like that was a flag that was used, and it's not putting the flag there or saying the N word in that book. Like it's not to like offend people. It's just how people talked back then. So like it would
Oh, I get what
be
you're trying to say.
like historically wrong to not let those characters use the N word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of like people know that maybe it was used wrong and maybe like it was used back in the day. It was something horrible, but like
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to they don't want to rehatch it and make and like for them to know that the people back in the day used it. Like they want to put it under the rug so like no one ever knows that they did that. Kind of like the flag, like saying, "Oh, we're gonna take it away just because that way no one ever remembers what happened." But it's like no, we're always gonna remember what happened. And just because you take the flag away doesn't change much. Exactly the
Exactly.
same thing with the N word. Like people used it like nothing back in the day, and we're not gonna put it under the rug just because
Yeah.
it's gonna make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm gonna. Yeah, exactly. Finally, have a party. It was like a nice change of pace. Like it was a
completely
bit light. Like
different. Yeah.
yeah, I really like that actually. That everything went smoothly. Something it's for realism. I am for it, but it's
Hmm.
shock value. No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If it's just to shock people, then it's like no, like that's just disgusting.
Like out of the nowhere, like if it's something he just says because he just feels like it, it's like okay,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
it
if
even
like
makes you feel awkward too.
yeah. So if, for example, like Stephen King would write a story that takes place now, and he would just like have a character that's like normal and no signs of like being like very right wing or something like that. It's
Hmm.
just like a normal character, and then he just uses it all of a sudden. Like no, like that's not okay. Like because it doesn't make sense. But in this
Yeah.
sense, it's just how people talked, and it just makes sense to put it there. Um, yeah, exactly. Like a lot of old people still call like black people or people of color like the N word
Hmm.
without even meaning any offensive because that's just how they talked back in the day. As wrong as that is, and they need to change, but it's just how they talk. I don't mind the N word in the story, but I get why people don't like it. Yeah, I get both
Yeah.
sides, but I wouldn't censor it. Yes.
Um.
Um,
When
did you expect
he
something to go bad? Sorry.
yeah, I actually did just because knowing Stephen King, but I feel like if something would have gone bad,
Mm-hmm.
um, but he did mention it. I think Stephen King, I would have said Stephen King would have mentioned it at the beginning of the book, but I think he mentioned it when they no, it was towards the end of the book. I'm wrong. It was towards the end of this part of the book where he was like, "But the night's not over" or something, because it was like
Mm,
everything worked out, but the night's not over. But this not in this.
yeah, no,
But
that's
did
different.
you think that Coffee was gonna die because he took all that stuff out? Because he was like coughing up
Um,
like a whole. Like I felt like he was
yeah, I had a feeling he was like holding it in. I didn't know. I thought he was holding it in. Excuse me.
to kill
I
himself,
thought he was,
right?
yeah, to kill himself, because like then he was like gonna go off on his own terms, and he didn't have to be in the chair because he heard what happened with Percy, and
Mm-hmm.
this and that and this. So I thought that was why he was doing it. But I did think he was gonna die, and I thought he was never gonna make the chair. But then I thought, well, we still have a part left, so what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Um, the part that I did find a little bit weird, and I feel like maybe this would fall into shock value, maybe not. Um, how he made the old lady start to say bad words. I know there's like I don't know. Maybe my wife, if she's on the chat, it's a medical thing. Like when you have a brain tumor, does that affect that part of your brain where you all of a sudden you start to say bad words? Are you like kind of like a personality change? Because I did find it a little bit odd how like he was like she would say really weird stuff like I don't know, very like explicit stuff, and I'd be like, oh my goodness.
Well, it really reminded me of like Tourette's. Like that's things
Yeah.
that are things that people with Tourette's say. I do think that it's possible when a tumor like presses on a certain part of your brain. Like it's even possible to just speak an entire different language. So I do think it's possible to just say all these horrible things without you meaning them. Like
It,
it's also possible that you like want to say, I want to read my book, and then you say, I want to draw on the wall. But
I see.
you don't even hear yourself saying, I want to draw on the wall. You hear
He,
yourself saying, I want to read my book.
oh,
But
okay.
what you're saying is different than what you're thinking. Um,
Yeah. I just thought it
it's
was
all
a
very
little bit odd because I just pictured like this nice old lady, and then all of a sudden she just says these like
mm-hmm.
I don't know explicit ass words, and it's like okay, like
Yeah,
some of them were kind of like TMI. Like I was like I did not want to picture that in my head. Like no,
yeah,
like
exactly. I think it was kind of like humoristically meant by King,
hmm like the
because
dark.
it's like an old lady, something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Emily thought he was really gonna die too.
Oh yeah, I missed that. Yeah, that's the thing about this cursing and everything. The brain is a weird thing. It's so complicated.
Oh, I know.
Isn't there a certain tick where you blurt out and you don't want to say? Wait, what? Isn't there a certain tick where you blurt out
Yeah, I think you said it. What did you say it was called? Tourette?
Tourette's? Yeah,
Oh,
Tourette's
okay.
disease.
That's what the
It's like
ticket is
then,
talking about.
yeah, like a lot of people do like pep, pep, like, and they use that instead of cursing, but sometimes they like just curse and say horrible things and they don't mean it.
Have you seen the movie Lucy? Has anyone in the chat have you guys
No.
ever seen Lucy? Well, it's about a movie about a person that's able to open up. Supposedly, we only use I don't know exactly how much they said. I think 5% of our brain, and
Yeah.
then she keeps progressing, and I think she opens her brain up to like 100% at the end, but it's like 80, 75%. And it reminded me of Coffee a lot just because Coffee could see, like how you said, when he was walking by the wheelchair, he could see stuff that other people couldn't see. And you
Hmm.
remember when Paul touched them too? When they touched each other, Paul for a minute could see his pores. He could hear something very far away, and that's how it is in the movie too.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Danny has seen it. Like in the movie, she could literally hear everything. She knew when someone was sick, and she literally told them what to take. And she could heal herself, and she had no pain just because, I guess, pain is just something that the brain makes up to make you feel human. I don't know. It's a very interesting movie.
Hmm.
If you guys ever get a chance to watch it, it's a really good movie. I recommend it.
Okay. It reminds me of Limitless. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have. It's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's about people inventing a sort of drug that makes you use like I think you like we
Yes.
use what like 2 or 5%, and
Yeah,
then
like
that makes you
something.
use like 20%, and then it goes further and further. So
Yeah,
like
that's maybe they stole it from there. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know which one came out first, but yeah, it's a drug that they put into them that is
mhm.
feeding them and it's making them use more. Yeah, it's basically that. Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay. Limitless is a very good movie as well. It's with Bradley Cooper. Goff seemed really smart but really dumb at the same time. Yeah, he seemed like smart but young, like and just naive a lot of the times maybe.
Like he had wisdom, but he just didn't know how to. I don't know, like real, like he had like spiritual wisdom, but when it came down to like, I don't know, I want to say like stuff that like humans usually like do, I guess, and talk, that
Hmm.
he just didn't have it.
Hmm.
Because this was what I was gonna talk about, mice and men. I think Coffee's telling Paul like I want a buddy to tell me where we've been and where we're going, and it reminded me instantly of Mice and Men because there's two of them, and there's one that's a bully smart, and then one's like this just a big guy that's just strong, but he's not very smart. So, and
Hmm.
then the other guy's always telling him we're going this way, we're going that way, and that's what Coffee wanted, a buddy to tell him where we're going and where he's been. Like I don't know, he was just a very lonely guy, and it was very sad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he wasn't able to live a normal life. I think. Oh, sorry.
Because I think they mentioned that he even helped other people, like when the church was burning, he took him out of
Hmm.
the burning church and he saved their lives too, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
We should talk about that. We should definitely talk about that, Hugo. What did you think about, because I think the wife was the one that was more of like telling the guys and Paul, like, you guys have to do something to save his life, you guys have to do something. Like I was trying to figure out in my head what they could do too to make him not go into the electric chair
Well, they
because
could.
he was
They
innocent.
were. They were gonna. They were searching for like evidence and everything, and if they had the evidence, they would have a shot at it to bring then the right person to justice. But then nothing mattered once that guy was dead, and there wasn't gonna be
Uh,
able to be a trial, right? Um, I think part of like because Coffee knew what Paul was doing, he knew he was trying to find a way to like get him out of it, and he told the guards like you've been very good to me and everything. And but Coffee just wanted to die, but he couldn't do it himself, so he wanted to be on that chair. And I think that's also a big part why he maybe killed Wharton.
because
So
he knew
like
he was a
then
bad guy.
yeah, in that way, yeah, and also in that way like they both die. And if Coffee would have let Paul like run the evidence and everything, and maybe Wharton would be arrested and he would be put on the electric chair and Coffee would walk free. But Coffee
Hmm.
wouldn't want that because Coffee wanted to die because it was just all too much and he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, because I don't think we talked about how the Billy guy killed the girls. It's crazy. This guy literally went into their home because they hired him or something to help him out with the barn or something. And then I told my wife that the way that he got the girls not to scream was he told one of them, "If you yell, I'm gonna hurt your sister." And then he told the other one the same thing. So Coffee said, he used their love against each other. It's like the love for each other, for each, like the love they had for the sister, like for each other, the sisters did. Like
Hmm.
the guy used it against them to do everything he did.
Yeah, that's so messed up though. And interesting at the same place at the same time, but yeah, it's so messed up. And I liked how gruesome it was in a way, like it was very well written, but it was maybe a little bit too dark because it was those
Yeah.
two little girls. Yeah.
Because I feel like this is part of the book towards the end where I found it to be a little bit depressing, where Coffee's just like the world's gone to shit, and like honestly, and this was like in 1930, so can you imagine Coffee now? He'd be like, "Oh no, I'm out. I'm gonna head
Yeah, he
out.
wouldn't
No,
even.
I don't want
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
here."
Green Mile too.
um, and I think this is a perfect segue to talk about how because I think in the end of the book, Stephen King talks about how he had to figure out a way to make everything make sense. And Paul was writing this from a nursing home.
Hmm.
And what did you? I honestly, personally, I didn't care for the nursing home POB at all until the
Hmm.
very maybe like not even in the end. Like honestly, I didn't like it at all. I didn't really like the
Oh,
POB of.
really?
Yeah. Only I don't like the POV till when we got to his wife. When he starts to tell us what happened with everybody. Like I like that part where he tells us how everything went down, what happened with everybody. But him just talking about him writing the story and like his finding the new girlfriend, like I really didn't care for it.
No, yeah, same. I kind of like think it's sad that he like has a new girlfriend while like I
Yeah.
really love the relationship with his wife. and I'm one that never cares for romances in books, but I did like their relationship in the book. So it was
Yeah.
so sad to then see him with someone else. And I don't think that was necessary. Although he was a good character, like he was a good person, obviously, and she stood up for him and she helped him, um, and all that. Speaking of which, the security guy in the nursing home is also a competitor for most hateful character.
Yeah, Denton.
um,
Yeah, honestly, I was telling Hugo at the beginning of the stream that I dislike Denton a lot more than I dislike Percy, just because I don't know. There was something with the security guard at the nursing home that he was more out to get him. Like he was like, "I'm gonna hurt you," kind of, because
mhm,
it was like an old man, and honestly, if you're picking on an old guy, it's kind of like, for example, the other day I was driving home, and there was this old guy behind me that was in a hurry for some reason. He was flipping me off and stuff just because I was driving like normal, like a normal person. And I told my wife that I didn't even get mad with him just because I don't know, like when you pick a fight with an older person, it's kind of like, are you really gonna win that fight? Like even if you
mhm.
win it, you're gonna end up losing it at the end because you're gonna look like an ass.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I didn't really care a whole lot about the part. I did like how he was writing it down, and that's how we were reading it, which is the thing he does more, like with Shawshank Redemption and everything, and
Yeah.
it's a thing he does a lot. So I don't mind that part, but like I just wish like he grew old with his wife or something, or maybe like she died, but then he grew a lot older. And like that's how he survived his wife, but no, like she had to fucking die in a, what was it, a bus crash.
Oh yeah,
And
look at the comments. Like I think, how long do you think Coffee would have lived?
how long do you
Uh,
think Coffee would have lived if he didn't go into the chair? Yeah, good question, right?
pretty
Because Paul was 104 and he only got like a
mhm,
little touch of coffee. So yeah, how
immortal.
old was Coffee? We don't even know.
Yeah,
He's
because he also says also with his magic that keeps people young. Maybe be the reason Coffee seems so childlike because it takes him a little bit longer to grow up. Kind of.
hmm.
What do you think?
But wouldn't he? Because Paul was 104, but he looked like beginning of 80s. They say
Yeah.
so. He looked younger than he was. So wouldn't Coffee then look younger than he actually is? So not
Oh, I
being a
get
child.
you.
So he's
Yeah.
probably even older. Like he probably looked around like 40, 50 or something. But maybe he was already like 100, 120. We don't know.
And
It's an
then
interesting point.
look at the next one, which is
Yeah.
being.
Finally gives us some amazing women and then Jam fucking dies.
Did you expect
Yeah.
that?
No, not at all. I also don't understand why. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it was
Why?
to like, yeah, it was to let everyone died in that crash except for Paul, wasn't it? And
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah. Maybe
other
that's why.
one
But
other person, and then he saw Coffee there or something, or like a shadow or
yeah,
what, and I
he's like,
didn't
why
really
can't you
understand
come
what he meant by it.
save my wife? You saved the warden's wife. Why
Yeah,
can't you save my wife?
yeah, exactly. So I think that was kind of the point, but
Yeah, I get you. Like to show us that the touch made him live a little bit longer and have like
mhm,
stuff that affects people didn't affect him as much. Because I think he also says that he would get colds, but it wasn't like anything major. It was just
mhm.
minor
He
colds.
never got sick again. Yeah.
Yeah, him killing off the wife just kind of like, yeah.
104 was operating like it was still big. Also, his brain, so Coffee's brain would still be operating as a kid. Good point. Yeah, it's possible that that is a big reason. Um, because he was peak condition. Like otherwise, he was very tall, was very strong, very healthy, and everything, except for childlike.
But yeah, I think we on everything. We touched on everything in the book and then some. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about towards the end of the book?
Yeah, maybe
Um,
like Coffee's death. Like, did you
yeah.
expect it to turn out the way it did?
Well, I kind of in my head, I wanted him to be saved, but then when he said, "Oh, I want to die," I don't know that I feel like that's what the when I started to think, "Oh, this book is really depressing because this person's out here trying to die," and I was just like, I don't know. So when he does die, even when you read his death, it was quick. It was very, very
Mm-hmm.
quick. Even like you just read it and it happened. I was expecting it to be a big old build up for his death and then for it to like take a long
Mm-hmm.
time to happen, but it was just done. But
I did like that actually, that it was just done, because like it was how it's supposed to be, like just like that.
yeah, I get
It
you.
wasn't dragged out or anything. Because like kind of from the beginning we knew, like obviously like you still like kind of hope after a while like he was going to be saved, but I had the feeling he was going to be on the chair from the very start.
But didn't you hate how everyone was yelling stuff at him? Like if he had actually done what he
Yeah,
did,
yeah, obviously, but it's also understandable because they
they
don't know
actually
what
thought.
actually happened, so they actually think that guy like murdered and raped their daughters. I would yell worse probably
Yeah,
than
I
that.
get you. Yeah,
And Coffee knew that also, like that wasn't targeted at him, that was targeted at the one who did it. They just thought that was Coffee.
but didn't
But
the phrases make so much more sense after? Like I keep going back to that because it was so baffling how it's like I couldn't help it. He couldn't help the little girls. I couldn't take it back because
mm-hmm.
he couldn't take it out. Oh, I was just
He was
like,
too late. Yeah, I couldn't take it back.
but I feel like I dislike the people more just because he was black. They were less like, oh, like he was black, so he did it. Because I think they mentioned that if it would have been a white guy, it would have been different. I think it was like the sheriff, not the sheriff, the deputy or
Mm-hmm.
something. Because he was gonna be sheriff when the other sheriff left. He didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
mess with the freaking bee nest. He didn't want to shake it around because he knew that if he did, he wouldn't get the sheriff position. So he was just
Yeah,
like he was okay with it. I don't know.
yeah, it's messed up, but sadly, like that's how it happened. And I like how Stephen King like pointed at it, how messed up it is, and like
Mm-hmm.
how he made us feel for Coffee and everything. And like I don't know, I think it's like written in a way that like, especially if you don't really know a lot about how it was back then, it just shows you how messed up it is. And like in our brain too, like we can't really comprehend it like normal human like good people. Like we can't really
Mm.
comprehend like why would you even think things like that, and how messed up it is to do these things, like to just like, oh, because he's black it's not a big deal, like no one
Yeah.
notice it, or like it's just an easy way to like solve the case, you know.
Mm-hmm. One thing.
One thing I really liked in the last part was during the death of Coffee, Paul explained how everyone else died in the electric chair room. Yeah, it was really well done. I also felt bad that Coffee like had to listen to the screams while he was in the chair. I kept thinking about that. He didn't bring it back, and he didn't talk about it again, Stephen
But
King.
they were
But
there.
I kept thinking about it. It really brought the realization that everyone dies, even people like John. Yeah, that's true. Yes, that's a good point. That's a very good. It's well said as well.
Mm-hmm. And I keep talking about the movie we saw today, but they talked about that too. They touched about how like we're all bound to die. It's just
Mm-hmm.
something I don't know. I feel like a lot of people when they talk about death, they talk about it like they're ready. Like I'm one of those people that like Paul. I want to live till like I'm 104 or
Oh, really?
108. Yeah, like I don't know. Like there's just something about it that I'm so scared of. Like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife's like, no, if I get to 80, I'm fine. And I'm just like, oh, I want to keep going and going and going. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know.
I always had like, maybe that's a bit dark, but I always have like the daunting feeling that like I'm gonna die, you know.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah,
I
that's
I
like a
do
feeling I constantly have.
I do that with like if for example if I get a pain somewhere, I tell her like, oh, this is hurting. What does this mean? Because she's
Yeah.
always telling like she puts it in my head and then she tells me you're because I know there's like some sort of thing like that you like people always like try to like diagnose themselves. But my wife always telling me, you know, there's this type of disease, this and this and this, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so when I bring it up to her, like if something's hurting, I'm like, could it be this? She's like, no. I was like, you put it in my head, and then if I complain about pains that are connected to what you told me, you get me in trouble. I'm just like, then don't tell me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Damn, living forever is no, living forever is awesome.
What forever? The beauty of things is that they end as much living forever, as much as living forever is such a cool idea. That is something I'm not afraid of. That I'm ready whenever. It's just life. Well,
No,
good for you, Rob.
no,
That's a very good way of thinking it. It's very humble.
no, no, no. We're gonna
Very
live
level-headed, man.
forever. I want to be a
Um,
freaking. I'm gonna be like Edward. Since according to a lot of people, I saw that we were discussing Twilight. If we are Edward's like 500 or 600 years old. Maybe Daniel knows the exact time, but no, I'm gonna be like Edward or something. I'm gonna live forever and ever.
in the words of Gandalf, that is yet another message. I think he said that. Yeah, I think I don't know if have you ever watched the show Afterlife on Netflix?
I don't think I have.
I really recommend it. It's a show about grief. It's very sad, but also very funny at times. It's just 2 seasons, 6 episodes, and just 20 minutes per episode. I really recommend it. But there was something they were like discussing, um, like life after death, and the the woman was like, "Well, what's the point if you like die and then that's just the end? Like, what's like the point of everything? Like, don't you want there to be something more or whatever?" And then the main character goes, like, "Well, I think life has a lot of meaning because we only get this life,
Hmm.
and you just have to make the most of it, and you have to hug your partner as tight as you can or as good as you can because that might be the very last hug you will ever have, even though you don't know it. So you have to like that just gives everything such like a lot more meaning. Almost like you don't know when life's gonna end, and you just have to make the most of it at all the times.
Oh, I get you.
And
Yeah.
I think that's like a very good way of thinking. Even if there is a life after that, like it's just nice to think that sometimes that there isn't, because then you will just like t-
Be
and try and take
depressed.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and like if there isn't a life after that, you might want to try and take more out of this one. Like when
Hmm.
people get like diagnosed cancer and they say like, oh, you
Oh
have
yeah.
3 weeks to live, and then like they want to do everything that they always missed out on, and then they have to do it in 3 weeks. um it's like, yeah, you always have to do that. Like you always have to live like
Live
it's your
your
last day basically.
to the limit.
Also, another question: do you think Paul's powers went away because right after he got John's powers, he read the mind of Dean, but never explained reading another mind? Maybe he chose not to use them because John Coffey wanted to die, and like it never made John Coffey happy if he even had the powers.
Because
Um,
I think when he was in the chair, he did describe that he could feel everyone's emotions towards him. Like
mm-hmm,
he didn't say I can hear them, but I think he said he sensed it or he felt it how much hate they had towards him.
mm-hmm,
And then Paul was like, or I forget the other guy's name, but Brutus or whatever. Point is that Paul was like, but can you feel how much love we have towards you? And then he was like, yes,
mm-hmm,
we do.
mm-hmm.
What are they saying in chat?
Exactly. I read that one. It keeps like jumping. Sorry.
That's okay.
Why did I say my
Yeah,
families?
I am. Uh,
I'm coming back and it's always messing with people. Edward is 112. That's not too old.
I thought for some reason I thought he was like very old because they show him in the movie like back in the day. Oh,
Oh yeah,
hypochondriac. That's what I am
one.
because
Yeah,
I'm always
someone
saying,
who
oh
thinks. Hmm.
yeah. I'm always like, oh, I have this because I have that, but it's like, bro, you have
Right,
nothing.
right, bruh. It is really amazing. I recommend it. It's one of my favorite shows ever. There's a movie
I'm gonna
called
start watching.
Afterlife with Liam Neeson, and never again. It's not gruesome, but it had me stressed. No, this is like very like calm. It's a British comedy show, but it's about grief and very sad at times. It deals with suicide and depression. It's with Ricky Gervais, if anyone knows him.
Oh yeah,
At
he did.
17,
Yeah, I remember that.
who did?
Edward, he died at 17. He caught the Spanish flu. So it was either like die or the guy made him into a vampire.
Wait, what are we
19
talking about? Oh, Twilight.
Edward.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Why do you know so? Because you read it like 34 times. Me too, in a way.
I love how I was saying this is what you watch. Me too. It's like you have like the blandest face and you like, oh, can you tell your face you're excited?
Sorry.
I'm with you though. I'm with you. Like I think I've mentioned it to Daniel like before I went to do my whole business, my whole resident thing. I have the whole. I have my Twilight set back there,
Hmm.
and I told him let's read all of it. I want to read all of them. And then I don't know for some reason. Oh no, I know why. I started watching the movies with my wife, and then I was like, bro, like this is what I'm gonna be reading. It's just I don't know. I'm gonna do if you guys are down to do it. Like I'll give. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get peer pressure like you did, Ugo, and we're gonna bound
Yeah,
to read them.
exactly.
But I'm with you. Like it's something that it sounds exciting, but I feel at the same time it's like like you're saying. I love how you said it at the on your last Q&A where you're like, yeah, I don't want to prioritize fucking Twilight because you have all this stuff
Yeah,
going on.
exactly. Like I already have so much, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta read this now, and then I look at the good stuff, and I'm like, why am I reading this right now? But I think it'll be a good time nonetheless. Like even if it's not the greatest book, because it is probably.
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Emily. That's definitely what I'm doing. Twilight is one book I've no interest in ever reading. Well, me neither. But guess what? I am anyway. So you can join us if you want. We're doing a buddy read. Like pretty much everyone in this chat, and maybe were
A
there
few
extra? I don't remember. But it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna be basically making
fun of it.
fun of it. Yeah. Like I have the feeling like Daniel and Emily will be like defending the book with their lives, and we'll just be like ranting the whole time and shouting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good content at least. I don't know if you guys touched on this, but what do you think? What do you guys think of the approach of King writing this
Mm-mm.
in smaller parts and people having to wait to read on? Yeah, I actually wanted. Good thing that you brought this up because I actually wanted to talk about it because especially the first three parts, right? They were kind of
Yes.
slow and hard to get to. Well, you would expect maybe the last parts would be slower because then he already got the people hooked, right? Because like I
Yes.
assume like if you release books in six different parts, you have to sell it six different times.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would try to make the first parts as exciting as possible, and then people are already into it, and then they even if
Yes.
it gets slower or worse, they just go along with it because they want to finish it because they already got halfway. So it's just interesting how the last part is like the good part, and the first parts are like kind of slow and hard to get through.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's like you're trying to pitch a story to them. So like if you're gonna continue to pick up the series, because I think it came out once a month, you're gonna want the reader to be like, oh, I can't wait for next month. And the
Hmm.
first one, I feel like he did a good job with the first one. The second and third, he might have lost a couple people. And then fourth, fifth, and sixth, they picked up. But look at this, Hugo. Mine say like win an autograph Stephen King library and all these things, a contest, and I was like, bro, I can't even do this.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
sad.
back in the day, freaking people were like, get all these things with him, and it's like now we can't because he even talks about how he was like, I don't think I ever want to do another serial novel, if only because the critics get to kick your ass six times instead of just that once. But he
Hmm.
was saying how like he wrote it just and he copied somebody. Um I don't know. I love reading the afterword of him because he's always like talking to us like, oh, we're actually there. But yeah, he said
Hmm.
that it was a big risk, and I don't know if it paid off because, like you said, I don't know how many people picked it up because
I
these
don't know
books.
either. Hmm.
I know like this, it's a little bit hard to find them, but I know when the actual book came out, the format book, it sold a lot more copies. I could definitely be wrong, but I feel like pretty positive about that. And I found out earlier in the month that I actually have the UK versions. I don't even have the US versions
Oh, really?
because the only thing that differentiates them is the numbers. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to pick up the US ones instead of the UK ones.
I really want the ones in like the different parts. I got just like a paperback, like all of them together. I do like
Yeah,
the
and
paperback.
then I think this is like the only paperback. This is the first edition too, but I don't know. I don't like this one.
No, I don't like yours either. Mine's like purple. It's the
Oh, tell me how you
color of
really
the
feel, Hugo. Tell me how you really feel.
what?
And then, oh, tell me how you really feel.
About what?
No, because you already did. You already told me how you feel about my book. Why are you talking smack? Only I can talk smack about it. You go, no one else. I'm just
Oh, okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
Have you seen the hardcover? I think that one has like the Green Mile itself. That one's cool.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one actually. The movie cover, maybe. It looks cool
Maybe.
on paper, but it doesn't seem like it will be fun.
Oh, I think he's talking about
Yeah,
Twilight.
Twilight. Y'all have fun though. No, Raul, you need to join. Come
Yeah,
on,
I
and
think
we
we
can
were
we,
saying
we
that,
can
but
invite Stephanie Meyer on the indie panel. We can
can
do
you
that.
imagine? Bro, yes, we need you, bro. Like we need your
Come on, you're
contacts.
the
We
only
need,
one that like can get Stephanie Meyer onto our life.
I can already see it. I can already see it.
I think giving this story time to settle in between would give it such a bigger impact. That is also true.
Oh, that's
Like you
yeah.
keep wondering, and
What's
yeah,
gonna
that is.
happen?
I am actually like it doesn't happen a lot. Like it's getting back more and more. I think like serialized novels, especially with Amazon Kindle and everything. They
Yeah.
like I've seen it a lot of times, and I'm reading one by Dean Koontz, and that like comes out in six different parts all at once. But then there's like a season two, and there's gonna be season three, and
Oh,
it's more like that.
you're
Mhm.
actually reading Dean Koontz?
Yeah, it's the first thing I read by him. It's like an Amazon original.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like six short stories per season, and I think there's two seasons out right now.
Oh,
I want
okay.
to read more of Dean Koontz. Have you read a lot of him?
No, I haven't because I don't know how to start because I know it's like Stephen King. It's like a hit. Like I feel like for Stephen King, I enjoy his writing style a lot. So I don't care if some of the books are not good because I'm gonna enjoy the writing style. But I heard that Dean Koontz, some of his books are really good and some of them are not that great.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, there's like a big debate on like if you're a Stephen King fan, you can't be a Dean Koontz fan. And I'm just like, bruh. Like I don't
Yes.
think it's that. I don't think that's
Yeah.
that serious. Like, come down. Like they both just because they write this kind of like I think it was in the last panel with Rule when they were like, "Do you prefer Star Wars or Star Trek?" It's like they're kind of
Hmm.
like same thing. So why can't you like both? I feel like people just
Exactly.
always like to have like sides and be like, "Oh, my side is
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just part of human nature.
Humans." Yeah.
We want to make sounds. Yeah.
hmm
We want to be divisive. I'm very open minded to other people' opinions of Twilight. Don't worry. Okay. Are you ready
That's
for my
good.
opinions? They have the win the contest things in Goosebumps book. So yeah, I have a
oh
couple of
yeah,
books with like win contests, and it always makes me sad.
it's like, but I think this is a very see. I knew this discussion was gonna be really like interesting just because there's so many things that were brought up in the book. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, me too. Like I said to you, like the rest doesn't know yet, but this is actually now my favorite Stephen King book that I've read so far.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Even though the beginning being a bit slow, but I just like the last part, just completely like I don't know, it just hit me. And I really liked it, and I really liked how dark it was. And Stephen King didn't really scare away of anything in this book, and I
Oh,
kind of
you're right.
respect it. Yeah, and I just really like the writing style of everything. I just like we said, the nursing thing wasn't great, but just overall and the overall feeling and the characters and the way I felt, and I kept wondering because I didn't like with Delacroix, like I couldn't feel bad for him, and
hmm
I tried to do the same with Coffee, like when I still thought he was guilty, like I tried to do that, and even before I knew he was innocent, like I was liking Coffee, and I just liked how King got me to do that because I'm like very like I
Unconscious,
really
you did it.
try, yeah, I really try to not like these people, not give in to like have sympathy for Delacroix because he's this horrible psychopath. Uh, but with Coffee, like it didn't work, and I did like Coffee even before I knew he was innocent. So I just really liked how King got away with that.
It's very interesting. When you told me like that it was your favorite Stephen King book of all time, I was like, oh, then I really got to pick up the pace and keep reading.
Hmm. Is it ranked among your favorites at least, or is it like in the middle?
Here,
Because
I
you've
was
read
gonna
a lot more. You've read a lot more.
um, I don't think if it does, I want to do that video so bad. Like when I go, it's because like I'm very biased when I finish a book. I want to go back and literally look at every Stephen King book that I've read so far and actually put that on
Mhm.
the list. and I
Mm-hmm.
think I'll do that here very soon. Because I feel like it's about time to put that list out there. Like I don't know why I'm holding it so much, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it can maybe sneak its way into my top 10 as my number 10 or number 9, but barely. I'd be very very close. Because
Mm-hmm.
look, I was playing up my Goodreads because like the part one I gave it 4 stars, part two I gave it 3 stars, part three I gave it 3 stars, and then part four, I give it 5 stars, and then the Green Mile parts it, I give it 5 stars. So
Okay.
I don't know how to average it out because it goes from like 4.3355. So
Four,
maybe it'd
three,
be like a
three,
solid
five,
3.5, almost a 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. It's probably like 4.5 if I would like take into account part 2 and 3. Um, but I just rounded up to 5.
But I love how like you actually picked a book that's different than what a lot of people say. Because I've seen so many people where like, and I'm not judging them. Like I can see why like that book or one of those books are always like their favorite. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, I don't know how many people that their favorite book is The Green Mile. For example, my favorite book of all time is Under the Dome, and I rarely see anyone like liking it. And some people even think that it's very like they dislike it a lot, and I'm just like, that's okay, but I liked it. But I feel like it also has to do a lot with your journey. Like when you're reading it and you're enjoying your time reading it, plus you're enjoying the story. That has to do a lot with it.
Yeah, exactly. I also really want to read Under the Dome because I saw the show and everyone hates that show, but I
Oh
even
yeah,
like the show. I even like the show, Maza. So I'm like, can't wait for the book.
yeah. Like I literally put it on for my wife. I think it was on CBS. I purchased CBS so I could watch it. We lasted like 4 minutes watching it, and I told my wife, I'm turning this shit off. Like, no, like this is completely garbage. Like this is nowhere near like how the story was.
Hmm. Yeah, I can only imagine.
I was so
um,
pissed off.
yeah,
Can't.
I'm gonna go through chat real quick. Yeah, Daniel, is the Discord been made? Uh, where is the link then? Because I have no idea. Can't wait for 11/22/63. Also, this was my 10th King book. I think it beat my number one, which was Misery. Really?
Whoa,
Another one
interesting.
who. Okay, nice. Um, I would, but I'm closing shop on my booktube channel. I already have things for this month and next month. I'll be joining you guys for 11/22/63. I thought you were closing your booktube channel. Why would you give me a heart attack like that?
No, he's being serious. He's actually going to like. He's contemplating actually leaving BookTube.
Wait, really? Oh,
Hmm.
I thought reading this, I thought you just meant like you had enough ideas and you like
Oh no,
couldn't.
he's I don't know if he's like set on stone, but like yeah, we have breaking news for everybody. Like he's literally thinking about like getting out of BookTube, which hopefully he changes his mind on and doesn't do it. But yeah.
Or I really like your channel. You put in so much effort and it's just so unique. I was having a conversation with Emily about it, actually about your channel, how it's like so different from everything else.
Hmm.
I just really like your channel, Raul. But obviously, like yeah, like if you have your reasons, like I'm not uploading at all, basically. Sometimes it's difficult. I believe I gave it 5 all around. Such a gorgeous book. Yeah, I agree. Love. Oh, loved Under the Dome. The ending. Shh, 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 shh.
I won't say anything about the ending.
Sometimes my enjoyment of a book also depends on how my days were going while reading. That's a very
Yes,
good point.
exactly. Yes.
You're in a good mindset and everything. That's a very good point. I sent it. Oh, on Instagram, I never get notifications from Instagram, and I rarely check those messages. Sorry, I'm gonna go after the stream. I will check and I will join the Discord. Yes, see, Ro, you will be missed. Well, I hope you'll still, if you stop and everything, like you'll still be part of. I'll still hear you in the group chat and everything.
Yeah, that'd be good. But
So, do you have any other thoughts about it?
I don't think so. I was just gonna mention about the ending. If this helps, it's not a spoiler. Like I finished the last 400 pages of Under the Dome in one sitting because that's how I personally, my personal opinion, I thought it was the ending was really really good because everything was coming together fine. So like the
Mm-hmm.
400 pages were done in a couple in like I want to say 3 to 4 hours. So now we're
Okay.
per 100 pages. I was like, you can ask my wife. I was like strolling through that, and I was like, I need to finish today.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can't wait. I brought it with me to Switzerland, so it's hopefully something I will read before October.
Nice.
Rode's gonna join my podcast as co-host. He doesn't know it yet, but he's gonna. Nice. My great stream, guys. I love this book. Was a 5-star read for me. Loved all the talking points. Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed
Nice.
it. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I'm glad you're part of the club.
I was telling,
Um.
I think we mentioned it how that we need to have maybe more people on actual on the camera. So maybe we
Mm-hmm.
could have like turns where you can have like someone from the group join us one time. Because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if there's too much people on camera, it does get kind of chaotic. But maybe we can add one person that wants to
Right.
join. Like Emily could join one stream, and then maybe we could have Raul join the other one, Daniel join, David join. Like we can have like kind of like how JB's saying, we could have like another co-host. Like we're the host, but like we can have a co-host helping us out.
Yeah, definitely, and maybe not even for the whole stream if they don't want to stay for like the hour
Yeah,
and a
like
half.
just for a
Maybe
couple,
we
like
can join.
one
Yeah.
point that they want to focus on. Yeah, but yeah, this was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was really good, and we had a lot of talk to talk about, and it's just interesting all the different points that this book brought up.
Oh yes.
Um, like
Oh,
even
before
stuff
we
we
go, the
recorded.
movie. How are we gonna do it? It's freaking 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Well, someone I don't remember who said it, but we could split it into 3 parts of an hour. But it might be weird at weird spots.
Yeah, I get you. Um, we could split it right in the middle at an hour and 30 minutes. Or no, is it an hour and 30 minutes? No, it'd be
Mhm.
an hour and 50 minutes. Dang it! I was just thinking. I don't know how I can't do math, but apparently. But I was thinking we could do like split it right in the middle, and have one Friday, and then have the other one on next Friday. But the
Mhm.
thing is that how would it work? It's because we're not gonna be able to accommodate everyone's schedule. So maybe we'll talk about it more on Discord. We'll put a poll and
Yeah,
then we'll
it's
get,
something to think about.
or
Because
maybe
sometimes.
it'll just
Mhm.
be a movie that we won't be able to show because for 11/22/63, it's also a series on Hulu. We're not
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
able to stream the whole
yeah.
series. So maybe
Unfortunately.
for these ones that are very long, we'll just have to watch them on our own if you guys are down to it.
Mhm.
But if everyone really wants us to show it, I can still stream it for everybody, but I don't know how it would work out.
What we can do is we can watch it on our own and then have like a stream or just a
Oh yeah.
discussion on camera and just like have everyone who watched it and wants like is willing to join the stream.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and we can
That
just
would
like
work.
discuss it. It doesn't have to be 2 hours. Like we can just like discuss the movie really quick.
Like 30 minutes. Yeah, that'll work. I think we'll do
Yeah,
that. That's
something
an
like
awesome
that.
idea.
And then anyone who wants to join on camera, like they can. If they
Hmm.
just want to join in chat, obviously that's okay too. Maybe that's something how we can do it, and we'll just watch it on our own and then set a date.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay. Uh, put me in, coach. I'm ready.
Like the
Nice.
song.
You're great. Your vids are so much fun. They are. If anyone's not subscribed to anyone on this in this chat, go subscribe. But I think everyone's subscribed to everyone here.
Yes. Um, I don't know. Like as soon as I saw Emily's thumbnail, and I was like, "This has to be clickbait." Like, there's no way she found that book for $1. And I was like, "There's
Hmm.
no way." I was like, I feel like my edition of Dune. I don't think I have it with me here. Is really nice, but when I saw that hers was like the actual Dune, because he does cause all his name, I was like, "Bruh, like
Hmm.
for $1."
It's not fair. She texted me about it. I was like, "Bro, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That is so not fair." It would
Nice.
be a pleasure to have you. I think it's a nice way to discuss the movie.
Mhm.
Everyone hype for Emily on the stream. Nice. So, do you have any other points you want to talk about, Martin?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Unless you have any more, I think I'm cleaned. I said everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think so too. If chat has anything else to say, that's okay. Otherwise, I will be ending the stream shortly. It's 3:15 in the morning, so kind of want
I
to
know I
finish.
gotta take my wife lunch right now, so I'm keeping an eye on the clock too.
But I think we'll end the stream here then.
Okay,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I can go to sleep.
Oh man.
Okay, thanks everyone. to join the stream. It was a pleasure as always. I'm really glad like chat is always interactive as well. So I
Yes.
want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah,
The
thank
streams
you,
would
e-reader, for
yeah
joining
the
us.
streams wouldn't be the same without the chat, obviously. Yeah, blocked. Uh, so yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Bye bye.